Pandits. Let me quickly cut across to Amit Raina, who's a Kashmiri Pandit, joining us right here. Mr. Raina, here is Shashi Tharoor, who's really not quoted the contents of the film, but has almost indicated, while saying that Singapore has banned the film, Indian government is endorsing this film. What do you think were his intentions when he put out that Twitter message?
I was very surprised and shocked when I saw the Twitter message, especially knowing Shashi Tharoor and knowing that his wife comes from the same community which I belong to. And he knew and he knows the suffering his wife's family, his wife suffered at the hands of jihadis in 1989 and 90. And he has met many people from this community and understands the pain. But this is unfortunate that he had to qualify a news of Singapore with calling a movie which was made on the ethnic cleansing of Kashmiri Pandits by calling it a film, BJP film. So it's very unfortunate. I wasn't expecting it, especially from Shashi Tharoor, but then it's ultimately in his blood. It is the Congress blood. It's the same party which in 1989 kept on ignoring the letters Jagmohan wrote to Rajiv Gandhi asking to intervene, otherwise things in Kashmir will go from bad to worse. So they ignored that.
Right. And, Mr. Raina, here you have Singapore that's banned the film. What according to you may have led to that?
I honestly don't know, so I am not privy to why they have banned the film. It is still a proposal. The formal order is still to come. There's only a speculation that they have proposed to ban the film. What has led to banning of the film, I honestly don't know.
Right. You know, Raina, here we're looking at the film that's also faced a lot of allegations when it comes to the depiction of the entire genocide that took place while villainizing Indian Muslims. These are allegations that that naysayers have made, including the opposition party members. What would you say to that? That this film isn't the exact portrayal or depiction of what happened?
Because that's what has happened. If it unfortunately portrays a certain community in bad light, I can't hide the truth, and the movie is all about truth. So instead of blaming the producer, instead of blaming someone else, the community should introspect and figure out why they are getting blamed. See, there are no two sides to the coin. You have a community which was not only targeted by terrorists. You have a community which was targeted by the political class of Kashmir, by the intellectual class of Kashmir, by the civil society of Kashmir, and even by your neighbors. So you had a community, the Aborigines of Kashmir, who were ethnically cleansed out of Kashmir. Only their fault was that they believed in Indian democracy, they believed in Indian constitution, they believed in India as an idea, and they were from a different religion. They followed a non-Islamic religion. So they were persecuted and they were ethnically cleansed. There are no two sides to the coin.
Raina, stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to Shrishti Kaul, who's also Kashmiri Pandit, who's been very vocal on this issue. Shrishti, here we're looking at Shashi Tharoor, who's raised, the ban that has been imposed by Singapore on this film, saying that this is a film that Singapore has banned, but Indian government has endorsed. How would you look at this? Of course, Vivek Agnihotri calls this mocking of the Kashmiri Pandit genocide.
See, we really have to understand what Mr. Tharoor why Kashmiri Pandit. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't mean to demean his late wife, but you have to read her old tweets of 2012 and 13, where she was constantly talking about how someone from his own party, his own Congress party, was constantly telling him and her कि ये ज़्यादा मुंह ना खोले बार बार on our issue. This is her one of the tweet. Second, we are talking about a person who belongs to Kerala state and the Kerala Congress Twitter account. Just I think a month back, or maybe when the time movie was released, they were constantly mocking us and our tragedy and constantly blaming Mr. Jagmohan. We saw that on Twitter. Nobody from Congress came, not even Mr. Tharoor came to clarify on this issue. And now he's saying that I didn't mean to demean this. What exactly what he wants to say? He calls himself a liberal. People see him as some kind of, some hope of new India, of maybe a Congress party. But he's actually enjoying a ban on a movie which actually portrays scene by scene, the portrayal of. How on this earth can you explain this mockery?
You know,
To what
but while
extent
he
should we go
retorts to,
out?
while he really gets back with his response, he says, you know, it's really uncalled for and unwarranted to drag my late wife Sunanda Pushkar into this because I have not quoted the film or the contents of the film. He, in fact, is upset with Sunanda Pushkar being quoted on this.
See, we really have to see. Shashi Tharoor is the same person who was actually at a book launch of two Kashmiri Pandits 2 years back, where he talked about this thing. He wants to go to book launch. He doesn't want his wife to be dragged in this. He wants to talk about all other things, but he wants to mock the movie. What was the movie all about then? It was all about fact, scene by scene, fact by fact. What else do you want? He's actually mocking so many women out there. He talks about feminism, women rights. You think he's not mocking each and every woman who suffered silently for 3 decades? To what extent should we take this person seriously? And he calls himself a liberal. I don't know the meaning of being a liberal and constantly mocking a ban. He's happy that a country whose opinion, I don't know, whose population is less than my neighborhood. We really have to appreciate that thing. They want to celebrate these things. So we really have to move forward and realize.
The Congress, of course, has been taking a stance, and they've said it in the past as well. And besides the critiques of the film, saying that this film, of course, does not outrightly depict what happened, does not specifically describe what happened. In fact, it shows Indian Muslims in a villainized manner, and that could be one of the reasons why Singapore has decided to ban it.
See, it's upon us now. Do we really have to trust the sufferers, the victim here, or do we have to trust the politicians? The same party which has been denying or not even acknowledging. I have repeated this earlier, even on social media where I'm pretty active, and now also. We are still at stage 1 of acceptance and acknowledgement. These people are not letting us do that. These people are not letting us do that. Where do we go next? Where do we get justice then? Justice is the last resort for us. But they're not letting us let it accept it. We are not targeting a community. We are saying, hello, this happened to us. Yes, it was done by one particular community. I'm not saying nothing happened afterwards. You please make a movie on that. Nobody is stopping you. This is what creative freedom is all about. Make a movie on them.
Right.
But
Shishti,
don't mock us.
Heard you well. Shishti, thank you very much for joining us with those details.